Are you a woman who's looking to make weight loss and living a healthier life a top priority? If you answered yes, then the CDC has some numbers you may find interesting. The agency reports that the average woman loses 1 to 2 pounds a week, making 4 to 8 pounds lost in a month a healthy goal. Since 2013, Paul Salter has coached over 1,500 women to lose 20 plus pounds and keep it off without feeling as if they are dieting. How does he do this, you ask? Well, it's simple. Salter believes in taking an inside-out approach, which is focused on cultivating feelings of self-love and self-worth from day one, and not after the weight is lost, and paying much more attention to one's mindset and emotional intelligence in addition to the nutritional X's and O's. Salter joined me this week to have a conversation about women's weight loss, how to make fitness more approachable and fun, and some of his hobbies outside of the world of work. So let's have a comprehensive conversation about health, fitness, life, and fun. Without further delay, I'm Kevin McShann. Let's have this conversation. Salter began his remarks by reflecting upon the connective tissue which connects him to this work and why women's health is so important to him.
Absolutely. So the weight loss and the diet industry put an over-exaggerated focus on the importance of monitoring what foods to eat, what foods not to eat. And they've come up with this slew of different guidelines and food rules that really, I have found in my decade plus experience, conditions people to develop an unhealthy relationship with food. And as human beings, we are all incredibly resilient, and we can follow these rigid and restrictive diet plans for 30 days, for 60 days, for 90 days. But inevitably, we are going to break. We're going to experience this burned out feeling and ultimately regress to our old habits. And I think the missed opportunity and where we have really put our time, effort, energy, and prioritization is helping women really rediscover how to build confidence, self-trust, and self-love in themselves. Because if you are pouring into building up your trust in yourself and your self-love every day, both consciously and subconsciously, you begin seeking out improvements to your dietary choices, to your exercise habits. So by prioritizing some of the internal changes, how you speak to yourself, the trust you have in yourself, what you believe you're capable of, that actually has an indirect and direct significant impact on your food choices, on your exercise habits, which ultimately helps to collectively work to achieve the goal of significant sustainable weight loss.
Yeah, absolutely. And Paul, tell me, what do you believe is the correlation to developing that healthy mindset and really looking at food from a more healthier place? How do you think those two things are interconnected?
Oh, I think extremely so. The way I like to think about it and teach those that we work with is the most important relationship we all have in life is the relationship we have with ourselves. So if we are feeding our mind with positive word choices, positive, uplifting, confident self-talks, and strong beliefs in ourselves, that's going to be reflected in the food that we choose, because we're going to want food that helps us continue to feel that good or help us feel even better. Whereas conversely, if our mind is filled with negativity, toxic thoughts, and limiting beliefs, we're going to seek food that is going to provide a temporary band-aid, a temporary hit of dopamine, the high sugar, high processed, really crappy, nutrient poor food. And ultimately, if our mind is strong, we start to seek out those nutritious food choices more often to further support how good we feel.
And Paula, research has shown that women tend to struggle a little bit more than men that when it comes to losing weight. So I'm curious, how can we motivate women to make fitness a priority in their life?
That's a great question. I can tell you, in my decade of experience, for those I've worked with and had the privilege of even just conversing with, motivation hasn't really been the issue per se. It's really knowing how to find a path to results that is sustainable, that is unique to them, that is simple and flexible. Because ultimately, women, as much as body dysmorphia and body image challenges reign supreme in both men and women unfortunately have had this extra layer of pressure from society, from media, social media, etc., about how to conform to this, ideal beauty standard. So I think where really the diet industry has gotten off track and prioritize money rather than the well-being of individuals is not providing a sustainable approach to reaching their goals. And that is where I think we and my team do a great job differentiating ourselves. Is we really prioritize taking an approach that is individualized to each person we work with. It is simple, it is flexible. And if we check those three boxes from day one, that ultimately helps us to prioritize what matters most for our community or clients, and that is adherence. And when someone can adhere to a plan consistently, it's that which breeds significant sustainable results.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Paula, tell me that you have three loves in life, my friend, and I'm wondering if you could share those with me.
Absolutely. So yes, you did your homework and I applaud you for that. So the three loves of mine are coffee, which, not to go off on too much of a tangent, but really passionate about coffee. It is really this novel topic for me over the last 6 months that I've poured my heart and time into, and have plans of opening a coffee shop here down the road. So that is love number one. And I can't think of a better way to start the day than with a nice, fresh, hot cup of coffee. Even in the hot, scorching temperatures of Florida, I still love my hot coffee every morning. Peanut butter is number two. It is my most favorite food of all time. I eat it almost, if not every single day, in every and any way imaginable. I think it is just absolutely delicious. And then I also had there my third favorite love in life is the word fuck, which is just such an attention grabber, a heart stopper, and loving the use of that word simply because of the emotion behind it, the way it helps get people's attention, and the way it also helps me reflect just being me, authentically me.
Yeah, absolutely. And uh, do you think those three loves in life help you to connect with your clients on a more authentic way?
Oh, that's a fantastic question. Absolutely. I found over my years of coaching and being in this industry that the first few years, especially, I really wanted to maintain this image of perfection. But in my mind, that came across as always doing my best and doing everything by the book to the T. But it took me a long time to realize what image I was projecting and giving off was almost as if I was kind of robotic and perfect. And that wasn't relatable to the people I was helping. And as I slowly became aware of this, and let my guard down, I began to be able to better connect with my clients, show vulnerability, share my challenges and areas for growth. And that actually helped to significantly strengthen my relationship with the people I worked with, made me more relatable to the people who are kind enough to follow me on social media, which eventually led to, just some wonderful, heartfelt human to human conversations.
And Paul, tell me, what's your favorite brand of coffee? But are we partial to a particular type of coffee at all?
So I love a good light roast from Ethiopia, something nice and fruity. So when it comes to where I buy my coffee, there's a couple really good local shops around me that I've discovered. And I'll shout out one of them that's new to me called Ragged Coffee that just does an excellent job roasting their beans. Very, very high quality and very, very tasty.
Absolutely. Now, Bunny, tell me, what do you think is the key to sort of maximizing your fitness potential and really living the most healthiest life possible?
I believe that every person needs to prioritize simply following through on the promises or commitments they make to themselves. I mean, if you think about it, we're all guilty of saying, whether it's aloud to somebody else or in our own heads, like, I'm going to go to the gym 3 days this week, or I'm going to meal prep this day and this day. And it's the series of not following through on these commitments that really gets us stuck in this rut where we're only relying on those rare occasions where motivation is at its highest. And anybody can really make solid progress when we're motivated, but unfortunately, motivation comes and goes like a bolt of lightning. So instead, what we can really do to begin working toward reaching our fullest potential is set fewer goals, cut out all of the distractions, and simply focus on following through on one promise or commitment at a time. And also, making it a little bit easier is that commitment or that goal should be extra small, incredibly tiny, because that makes it more attainable. And when we start reaching these mini milestones, we build confidence. We get to compound that success. And as we build confidence, our consistency grows. Now it's a nice, wonderful, perpetuating cycle that fuels us to reach the big goal that we're chasing.
Yeah, and to that point, Paul, I'm fascinated to ask you your advice on the best ways to sort of build fitness confidence.
And that's a great question. I think it really does tie back into following through on the promises you make to yourself. I was taught by one of my mentors a few years ago, there's this 3C loop of confidence, competence, and consistency. And I kind of add this fourth C in there for commitment, which really boils down to making a commitment to yourself. And if you follow through on that consistently, that's the second C, you begin to build competence in that skill. So whether it's going to the gym, meal prepping, learning a new language, learning a new skill, you build competency, which boosts your confidence. And when you feel confident about something, you're more likely to do it consistently. So now, again, we've got this positive cycle going, starting with commitment, through consistency, building both competency and confidence, and repeating the process over and over.
Yeah, and Paul, I know that you're an open book, buddy, and that you've experienced a lot during this short time you've been around. And, for me, it's always important to celebrate the wins in life, even if sometimes the wins are a part of sort of an emotional happening in our life. So I'm wondering. If you could be candid with me for a second and share some of the episodes or incidents in your life that have really shaped you into the person you are today.
Yeah, I think there's three big ones that come to mind. And the first one was back in 2017. I was working my second, official adult job ever as a lead nutrition writer and nutrition editor. And when I took the job, I thought it was going to be a dream job. And I did thoroughly enjoy my experience. But after a little over a year, it just wasn't progressing or growing at the rate I had hoped it would. The opportunities were very limited. So I made the decision to leave that job altogether and to go off on my own, which really set the stage for where I am today, because I took that leap of faith and bet on myself to no longer have a guaranteed paycheck, benefits, retirement, etc., and to trust myself that I would figure it out. So that was great. And that led to an experience in which I had the pleasure of continuing with some part-time consulting work that actually blew up and became more of a full-time role after I left that company. And even though I was self-employed, I was consulting so regularly for this company that they were responsible for about 90% of my income. And you fast forward a few years later, I then made the decision to, end that consulting relationship. So here I was, coming to a crossroads in which I decided to walk away from 90% of my income, again, trusting myself, betting on myself that I would figure out and that I needed to trust my heart and follow my dream with what I wanted to do. And here we are a couple years later, and I'm living that dream today. And it was definitely a challenging decision, but it is certainly one that has paid off, tenfold, not even financially, just emotionally, mentally, and my overall well-being. And then the third one for me was going through, the incredibly challenging process of a divorce from my wife a couple years ago, or just under 2 years ago. And for me, it just forced me to do a lot of inward reflection on my role, understanding how we got to that point. And as challenging, sad, and regretful as that chapter of my life was, it has proven to be an accelerant or a catalyst to self-growth, healing, and insight about myself, and ultimately helped me truly today have just an abundance of self-love and appreciation for myself that was missing for so long because I was so scattered, putting my time and energy into the wrong places.
Yeah, let's dive a little bit deeper into self-reflection because, Paul, one of the things about me, buddy, is I truly believe that uh, you can't influence the lives of other people until you have a firm grasp on how you want to influence your own life. So tell me about the power of your reflection and what you learn most about yourself.
Oh man, that's a fantastic question. For me, I grew up the oldest of four, and there was always a lot of, pressure I put on myself to be a responsible role model for my younger siblings, to please my parents. And I put a tremendous amount of pressure on myself, which for a long time served me incredibly well. It helped me develop this, impeccable work ethic. But simultaneously, I chose to grow up too fast. I stopped playing. I stopped having fun. I took on more responsibility and slowly found myself kind of trapped in this state of always work, work, work. I didn't know how to turn off work. I didn't know how to relax, let go, and have fun, get back to that creative freedom and play that we're all, known for as children. And, learning how to, recognize that, B, understand how it served me at one point, but was no longer serving me now in my adult life, ultimately helped me, finally find the path and the support and the resources to let go of that. There's no longer a need for me to be perfect, to please others. And that has helped me to redirect my energy into, loving myself, practicing gratitude and appreciation for myself.
And I want to go back to something you said a little bit earlier about your desire to open your own coffee shop, buddy. That October, you may not know this, but it's actually National Disability Employment Awareness Month. And I will also share with you that I was born with cerebral palsy. And one of the things that is important to me is working with businesses to make sure that they hire folks with disabilities. So tell me about your entrepreneurial journey, and how do you think we can better equip or allow folks with disabilities into the workforce?
Absolutely. I mean, well, I think to address the latter part of your question first is just recognizing, we're all human beings, which underneath the flesh and the bone, we are energy and we are love of the universe. Regardless of the religion we may adhere to or practice, we're just an abundance of energy and love underneath everything. And really, being able to reframe how we view that allows us to open up our hearts and our minds to see everybody else as love and as energy. And I feel, after a lot of healing and wonderful experiences the last couple of years, that every single person we connect with has so much value to provide. And I think any entrepreneur, myself, business owner, whoever he or she may be, if he or she is clear on the opportunity and the task that is needed, I think going above and beyond to seek out the right person and absolutely looking past any, physical disability, whatever may be present, is an easy no-brainer. And where that kind of comes back into play with my entrepreneurial journey is the reason I'm so fascinated by this coffee shop idea of mine is what I value most is community and connection. I love being able to really share the energy and abundance of love with every person that I connect with. And if we think about coffee, in America alone, we drink billions of cups of coffee every day. There's so many touch points where we get to impact the life of a person, where one conversation, one transaction or experience truly has the potential to alter the trajectory of their day and therefore their life. And that's what excites me. And that's kind of always been the backbone of my entrepreneurial journey, my decision making, and ultimately why I've gotten to the position of what I do currently today.
And Paul, tell me, I'm also a big believer in the fact that in life, we have to make the things that are important to us a priority. Otherwise, they don't get done, right? So tell me about making nutrition and fitness a priority and why you think more people should do that in order to live a healthier life.
Yes, I think it's just incredibly clear to get clear, not to be redundant there, on how each of us wants to feel at the end of the day. When it comes to the diet industry, the fitness industry, it's very easy to get caught up in, oh, I want to weigh this amount on the scale, or weigh this, or wear this clothing size, or look this way, or bench press this much, which are all valid goals. But underneath those goals is really a collection of feelings that we're chasing. We want to feel confident, in control, calm, strong, healthy, sexy, energized, an array of different feelings. And if we can get incredibly clear on how we want to feel, what that does is create an opportunity for us to begin effectively implementing the most appropriate action steps. And it's a no-brainer at this point, given the decades of research, that making quality food choices consistently and moving in some capacity on a daily basis only further enhances those positive feelings we all aspire to feel. So by reframing and ultimately coming to the conclusion of how eating well and moving often support how you ultimately want to feel, it makes it easier to physically and literally connect the dots. And I think the other big mental hurdle that we can all overcome is so many people, myself for the longest time as well, are under the impression that when it comes to exercise, we have to do 6-7 hours in the gym of this rigorous exercise or workout every single week, when the truth is, even walking 15 to 20 minutes every day is a wonderful form of exercise that offers not only so many physical benefits, but emotional and mental benefits as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Paul, I'll share with you the type of cerebral palsy I have is called spastic quadriplegia. And what that simply means is that my muscles are spastic, right? So it affects things like my muscle endurance and my ability to walk and stand. So stuff for me when it comes to fitness, I live my life through the prism or the saying of always being active, and lifting weights and walking is big for me as well as swimming. So I'm happy you brought up the idea of being active at least 10 minutes a day, because that's what I try to do. And I try to live by example as well. So tell me about setting a good fitness example and how fitness can become more approachable for people.
I think the biggest area people need to focus on is finding a form of movement that they enjoy. Because if they find something they enjoy, they're much more likely to, engage in it consistently. You don't have to go do CrossFit or bodybuilding or powerlifting or the local, group fitness boot camp class down the street. It can be walking, it can be volleyball, it can be rec soccer, it can be swimming, yoga, cycling. Find something that you enjoy that brings you happiness and simply stick with that. It doesn't need to be overcomplicated.
Or you can also get a, because I did this a couple of years ago. I bought a punching bag, and every time I was feeling a certain type of way, I would use that as sort of an energy release. And getting the heart rate up is important, isn't it?
It is. I love that idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And Paula, in your opinion, I'm fascinated to ask you, what do you think are the keys to living a great life?
Practice gratitude daily is a very big one for me. I am very meticulous and disciplined with my gratitude practice, and just the impact it has on both a conscious and subconscious level to gain a better appreciation and to spend more time in a state of abundance rather than a state of scarcity or lack is, just so invaluable when it comes to how you tackle the day and your relationships in life. So practicing gratitude daily would be number one. Number two is to slow down and simply be every single day. For the longest time, I was very much a human doing. I was always do, or go, always busy. I was busy just for the sake of being busy. And as I've gotten older and wiser, I have really begun to appreciate the value of slowing down and being. And what, the kind of the saying that I try to really implement on a daily basis is to find a moment or a blissful quietude of nothingness. Be okay with nothing going on, not having my phone, nothing to distract me. So slowing down and being would be my, second key takeaway to truly live a great life. And then the third one is do something that excites you every single day. Engage that state of play, creativity, and fun again.
Yeah, absolutely. And Paul, I know you live there in South Florida, buddy, and I'm a huge believer that your environment also springs you into action. So tell me about living in the Sunshine State and how it motivates you to really put fitness at the top of your priority list, my friend.
Yeah, well, right now here, early October is one of the best times of the year. It's, a high of the low to mid 80s every day, which means the early mornings and the evenings are in the low 70s or even the 60s. So the weather is just absolutely beautiful. And with quick, easy beach access, there's not a time that goes by when I visit the beach. There's pickup soccer or pickup volleyball going on. So between that and the endless opportunity to be out on the water, kayaking, stand-up paddleboarding, there's just so many opportunities to engage in a fun, preferred form of movement on the water, on the beach, by the water, etc. So your opportunities are limitless, and you don't have any excuses not to take advantage of them because the weather is always so great.
Yeah, absolutely. And Paul, I'm curious for any women who may be watching this, who may have had sort of a lifelong struggle with their weight loss journey, what would be your message of inspiration to them?
I would encourage all of them listening right now to prioritize returning to a state of self-love, falling in love with yourself again. Because when we prioritize the love we have for ourselves, the way we care for ourselves, the way we treat ourselves, our habits, our self-talk, our thoughts, our beliefs, all begin to fall into place to support and facilitate further love for ourselves, which means both conscious and subconscious seeking of improved dietary choices, improved fitness habits, and that ultimately helps us arrive at a place where not only do we feel our best, but we look our best and we're capable of being our best.
Yeah, absolutely. And Paul, my last question for you this afternoon has to do with your personal and professional legacy, my friend, and how you want that to be defined.
That is a powerful question. I like that question. For me, where I'm at in my life now, things are beginning to come full circle between, our community, the 5% community, and the coffee shop and a book I'm writing, where my legacy, I hope, is to be defined by having an opportunity to provide a daily dose of positivity that has the potential to drastically alter the trajectory of someone's day and ultimately someone's life, to help them feel their best, look their best, and truly be their best, reaching their full potential.
Yeah, absolutely. And tell me, Paul, if people want to get connected with you, my friend, what's the best way they can do that?
Yeah, come say hi on Instagram at Paul Salter Coaching. I'm live there just about every day, hanging out in stories, providing plenty of education, but also equal doses of entertainment, humor, and plenty of dog pictures and stories.
Well, Paul, I certainly appreciate your adrenaline, unmatched energy, and your expertise you brought to this conversation, my friend. Your work in the space and time on my behalf is most appreciated. And I want to thank you for being here this afternoon.
Yeah, thank you. I genuinely appreciate the opportunity. Your questions were golden, and I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. So thank you.